Another thing, oh my gosh, I got to think about it for a second. Hold on. I had a thought in my brain.
It's okay. We have a lot of thoughts running right now.
Hello, and welcome to the Soccer Moms Unfiltered podcast. I'm your host, Katie Koelliker,
And I'm Cari Gonzalez.
and we are so excited and glad that you are here to listen. This is our first episode, and Cari, why don't you go ahead and give them a little introduction on what the podcast we hoped to have the podcast be about.
So basically, we are going to cover anything and everything sports mom, dad related, whether it's sideline Sallies, as I tend to call them, just heartwarming things that you have seen or witnessed on the field. Also, not so heartwarming things. We're going to touch on just a wide array of subjects and things that we all have probably encountered at one time or another.
Yeah, so we're here just to bring a community together, whether it's funny, whether it's serious, just things that we as parents have experienced through youth sports. I myself am a soccer mom. Cari is also a soccer and cheerleading mom. And we're going to introduce ourselves a little bit. So, Cari, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let everybody know your background being a soccer mom?
So, I have been a soccer mom for the last 12 years. My son started playing when he was 4. I put him in the sport because I thought it was the absolute safest sport in the world. I have learned the hard way that it's absolutely not the case. Um, my daughter also plays soccer, but she does cheerleading as well. If you would have asked me back then when my kids started if I would have been this involved in soccer, I would have told you absolutely not because I never had an interest in soccer, yet here we are. I basically eat, sleep, breathe soccer. So I'm either on the sidelines at a soccer game, or I'm at competitive cheerleading competitions, or I'm on the sidelines at football games watching my daughter cheer. So that's where we're at right now. That's how I got into this wonderful world of soccer.
And tell the listener where you're from.
I am currently in Miami, Florida, and I've been here over 20 years. I'm not going to age myself. Um, I'm originally not from Miami. I was born in New York and raised in New Jersey. And then my journey took me here. And that's where I'm at, the 305.
And then I'm Katie Koelliker. I'm your other host, and I am from Utah. So we are from two vastly different places. So right now we're in the middle of winter, although I can say you guys got more snow than us, I feel like, before we got snow down in Florida when it snowed down there recently. I don't know if
Doesn't that sound
any of you.
crazy
Yeah.
to
And
say?
so, I mean, we were literally, I mean, it was snowing in the mountains, but at my house in the valley, we really hadn't gotten very much snow at all. So when you guys were getting snow in all the places that it usually doesn't snow, my kids were like, oh my gosh, I want to go sledding, and we can't go sledding because we haven't had enough snow in our area. But anyway, so Cari and I come from two vastly different climates,
Yes.
different. I would definitely say cultures,
Yeah.
as far as what states we live in and where we're from. So we're really excited to kind of cover the different aspects since we live in different areas of the country as well. But as far as my background, I played soccer growing up. I also did competitive dance growing up as well. I was a cheerleader in high school. I am married to a soccer coach, and he also grew up playing soccer as well. And so soccer is like our life. We have 5 kids. All 5 of our kids have played soccer. Our oldest just, I would say, retired or quit due to some injuries, and he just turned 15. But he played soccer from when he was 3 all the way until he was 14. And then all of our other kids play soccer as well. So that's been super fun. Our daughters do gymnastics, and that's kind of my background. Oh, and I also coach. I don't know if I said that already. So I started coaching about 5 years ago. So I'm not only just a soccer mom, but I also was a soccer coach's wife, which is difficult, which I can touch on in episodes. And then also I'm a soccer mom and a coach. So I got a lot of different aspects of that to talk about as well and give my commentary on different subjects coming from a parent perspective, a coach's perspective, former player perspective. So that'll be definitely interesting. But the way Cari and I met was Cari runs an Instagram page called Soccer Moms Unfiltered. So if you don't already follow her Instagram page, make sure you go and follow it. She recently started a blog. But about a year ago, maybe a little under a year
Mm-hmm.
ago, in
Yep.
2024, we collaborated on my podcast, my other podcast called Kicking It with Katie, and we did an episode together. And Cari, was looking to kind of branch out on some different things. And I said, hey, why don't we try doing a podcast together? That would be really fun, soccer mom stuff, keeping it lighthearted, funny, serious, covering all the bases. So that's how this podcast was kind of born. And so we decided to run with it. So that's kind of where we're at right now with that. Cari, do you want to add anything to that?
So, like I said, you would have asked me a couple years ago if I would have been so involved in soccer. The answer is no. And to be honest, my whole journey with this Soccer Moms Unfiltered page, I started it because I don't know. I was sitting in my office one day and I said, you know what? I'm going to do a page. Let's see what happens with it. And here we are, 60,000 plus followers later, and it kind of blew up. I didn't realize there was such a community that
Mm-hmm.
was looking for something like that, that was looking for someone to share, just funny stuff. Because my stuff is typically lighthearted. I just do
Mm-hmm.
memes and things like that. I do have a couple videos here and there. It's just funny how you have this community, and I've had people reach out to me and they ask me questions and they ask for my input on things, and I absolutely love it. So anytime I get a message, anytime anybody wants to chat, I'm always available. I try to respond to everybody, and it's just really a wonderful community to be a part of, to be honest. So I'm glad we did this. I'm glad that we were able to do this podcast, and I think this is going to be really fun, and I think everyone will enjoy it.
Yeah. And it's a place where sports moms and dads, parents from any sports can come and give their input. So we just titled it Soccer Moms just because that was kind of a generic stereotype for
Mhm.
sports parents in general, whether it was for football, basketball, baseball. It was kind of people were lumped together as being soccer moms. And you did an article on your blog kind of about that. And so make sure if you haven't already read her article about that on her blog, go ahead and check that out as well. The links to her stuff is in her Instagram page. Remember, it's Soccer Moms Unfiltered on Instagram. And you can go and read about that kind of stuff. And we will also be doing calls to action from you guys as the listener to give your input on different topics or share your stories. And so we'll be excited to be able to have different engagements with different parents, sports parents, coaches, different people that have already, just with the coming soon announcement that we've done on social media, I've already had a few people say, hey, I'd totally love to come on or be a part of it, or, so it's kind of fun to be able to see what people are willing and wanting to do in this space, because it's a great community and it would be great for all of us to be able to, lift each other up and lend support whenever we can. And like, I know there was a soccer mom who just messaged me that lives in Illinois, and she happened to be at the same tournament last weekend that I was at in Las Vegas. And we were never probably at the same place at the same time, but it was kind of fun to hear her experiences at the tournament and, kind of tell each other a little bit about what was going on. So it'll be really fun to see the fan engagement and the listener engagement as far as what people are going to be able to do and to see how this community will be able to grow in the future.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be great. And like you said, this is just, a space where we can come together, we can chat, we can, bring things to the table. Sometimes, some moms and dads or sports parents, whatever it is, don't have anybody that they can go and talk to. Maybe they don't have that camaraderie, you could say, in their sports team. And this is a place to do it. So I think it's great. And it's important to highlight it's not just for soccer moms and dads, it's for all sports, whether it's basketball, baseball, hockey,
Hmm.
lacrosse, whatever it is, this is the place for you.
Yeah. And it'll be great to be able to, especially when we do calls to action like we're going to be doing today for some topics and getting your feedback on these topics and hearing your stories, that we're going to be able to share those with other people and let other people know different things that have happened, you've seen, and hopefully affect change going forward as far as different things. So the first call to action that we're going to have is we would love to hear your different sideline shenanigan stories, good, bad, ugly. So whether it's, an unfortunate fight that broke out, I know like a couple weekends ago at an event, I don't, maybe it was last weekend. I can't remember. Apparently, a player on a team that is here locally, we were out of state at a tournament. I think it was last weekend in Vegas. A parent on the opposing team came on the field and punched one of the players, like a teenager, which ended up with the police being called. I'm assuming that person was arrested. Charges, I'm assuming, were filed. I don't know the whole entire story, but I did see video of the assault from like a VO. And so I know that it happened. So it's not just hearsay. Sometimes it's like, oh, well, I heard this and it comes, through telephone and it kind of
Mm.
gets lost in translation. But I do know that it happened. The recorded score on the website was for a forfeit for the other team. So we're pretty sure, certain things happen there. But that is obviously a very extreme case. But I've also seen some pretty amazing things happen, in times of when players get injured, the support surrounding the players that got injured, different things happening, just talking to somebody on the sideline and then becoming like good friends with them when you didn't even know them. So, stories like that, different things. Like I helped out some parents the other day who didn't know what happened in for like a call, and I was able to help out, give my input and say, I think this might be what happened, as far as what the referee called. So there's a lot of different aspects, good, bad, and ugly, that we would love to hear from you listeners, whether it's at a soccer event, a basketball, baseball, any sports that your kids are at, dance, even dance. Like I know dance moms, cheer moms, those types of things, they also come with their high stress stuff. So love to hear different things from different people in different areas as far as, what you've seen happen on the sidelines, and we would love to share your stories. So again, it could be the good, the bad, the ugly, and we'll share a few of them on our episode and discuss them if we want to, and see where that goes from there. But we would love to have your submissions. If you can email your stories to info@soccermomsunfiltered.com. So we'll have that link in the show note as well, but it's info@soccermomsunfiltered.com. But Cari, do you want to talk any more on that, what we want to hear from people?
Definitely just want to push everyone to get involved and send us your stories and just be an active member of this little community that we're building with this podcast. Um, so that other people, you may have a story that I don't know may seem insignificant or may have some significance, and to someone else it's like, oh, okay, I had something similar, and maybe your story will help them in some way or some capacity. So
Yeah.
that's, it's good to just get involved. Send us your stories. I love to hear all these little secrets and shenanigans that go on, because they do go on. Some are
Mm-hmm.
funny, some are not so funny. I've had my very unfunny moments that are, I probably should be embarrassed on some of them, but whatever. That's for the other podcast. We'll leave that there, and I'll leave you on suspense at the edge of your seats to know how that turned out. But definitely get involved. Let us know I have cheer stories for days. That I can tell
Mm-hmm.
you. So if you're a cheer mom, cheer dad, you know what I'm talking about. I swear it that cheer is the absolute, I think cheer and dance are the most drama fueled sports. They have to be. It's so bad. And I can talk about that, and I
Mm-hmm.
will later on, but it's scary, cuz I did cheer as a kid, and I don't remember it being that bad, but maybe just cuz my parents never got involved, maybe that's why, but I know I'm all in it. Like I want to be all up in there, so I hear it all. And it's quite comical.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I've been, part as a cheerleader myself in high school. I also like feel like what it used to be. I mean, back in the, day, I guess you could say,
Yes.
it's definitely a lot different than now because when I was a cheerleader, the competitive cheerleading aspect, at least in my area in Utah, was like still so new. Like when I would be like, wait, people do competitive cheer like people do dance or something? Like it was like a foreign concept to me because it was like I felt like if you were a dancer or a gymnast and then maybe in high school you tried out for cheer and that was kind of it, and then go on to be collegiate or like an NFL cheerleader type of a thing, and that was kind of it. But now it's people are starting cheerleading so much earlier, just like any other sport now. It's like everybody's starting to do everything earlier, which will be a topic one day that we talk about. But so I definitely know that all of these things have escalated differently, and from what it used to be back in the day, I guess you could say, is everything's gotten way more competitive and earlier on in kids' lives. So it's kind of crazy that we could talk about that another time.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
another thing, oh my gosh, I gotta think about it for a second. Hold on. I had a thought in my brain.
It's okay. We have a lot of thoughts running right now.
Right. Um, anyway, I can't remember what I was gonna say. Um, I should have written it down. Um, whatever. I don't know, but I'll probably edit that out. But
No, you got to keep
hmm.
it. That's the fun part. We got to keep it. We
I
got to keep the
literally
bloopers in.
it was like while you were talking, I was like, oh, we got to talk about this, and I was like envisioning it, and then I started talking about cheer, and I totally forgot what I was gonna say. Because as you can tell, listener, this is not scripted.
No, it's not.
So we're just going off on
But
information
who
here,
wants
but
scripted? Nobody wants
yeah,
scripted. No,
yeah,
just let
yeah.
it
But
let
we
it
will.
roll.
Yeah. Oh, what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Oh,
totally jogged my memory. Okay. But we also want not only for you guys to respond to episodes that we want to do in the future. If you have a topic or a question about something that you want us to talk about, or maybe find an expert on, like a coach or like a sports psychologist, a nutritionist, or
mhm.
anything like that. If you have questions about certain topics, send those in as well because we obviously want to cover the topics that you want information on.
Yep.
So if you have a topic that you want us to cover, please email that in as well. And we will definitely make sure that we get it covered in an episode for you because like I said, we want to cover the information that you guys want to hear about. And, maybe listening to other people's episodes or topics or different things might spark something in you. Just make sure to send those in because we want to get that information out there because a lot of times when people have questions, they're not the only one that has that question about
Hmm.
that topic or want to hear about it. So make sure you just send that stuff in because we want to make sure we get you that information as best that we can, and we can give our great advice, but we will also be reaching out to experts in whatever area it might be, bringing on, like I said, coaches and psychologists or nutritionists, and
Yep.
there's some like orthopedic doctors that we could talk to, regarding injuries, or people that help with certain injury recoveries and things like that. So we want to talk about a broad aspect of things that relate to being parents of youth athletes. So please make sure to send that information in, especially like since we're mostly from the soccer, cheer, dance world. Like if you're a parent of another sport and wants to come on and give your
Yeah.
experiences, or we might not know many people in those other areas, and so if you have recommendations of people, or if you're a coach of another sport or something like that, and you want to come on and give insight into those other sports as well, we would love to hear about it.
Yep. And also very important, if you know someone who knows someone who knows someone, and maybe you know some sports figure, we would totally be open to having them on too. If you
Yeah.
know anybody who's in the public eye, like any big time players or up and coming, we would be more than happy to speak with them also, because that's also good to
Hmm.
have them on.
Yeah, definitely. All
So,
right. Well, so again, we want to hear about your sideline shenanigans. So please send those submissions into info@soccermomsunfiltered.com. Go follow the Soccer Moms Unfiltered Instagram page. You can also follow me at Kick It with Katie
yes.
podcast as well. So we will be tagging and linking different things. So I have my own separate podcast, which I specifically interview people in the soccer space as far as their journeys through soccer, whether that be a parent of a player, a former player, a current player. I've interviewed some professional players, coaches, nutritionists. So it's basically their soccer specific journeys and where they are at in the soccer space, and giving a lot of advice to youth athletes. That podcast is family friendly. This podcast might not be so family friendly in the future. So sometimes, we might be using some different colorful language. I don't know. I guess it will depend on the topic and how heated things get, because Cari and I may not agree on certain things. I don't know. So, it'll just be interesting to see where that goes. But just so you guys are aware, that podcast is family friendly and meant for parents and youth athletes. Currently, but this podcast is for just soccer parents in general. And like I said, it may not always be family friendly, but that's up to your discretion whether you want to listen to it on a car ride to a game or not. So, or with another soccer mom, so, or sports parent.
We'll try to keep it like as calm as possible, but yes, you might want to think that through.
Yeah. And if we have some explicit material, we'll be sure to make sure we add that in the show notes, so you know whether or not small ears can hear those episodes or things. But just so you guys are aware, this is supposed to be a fun, lighthearted podcast, mostly for adults. So, I mean, as of like today, totally fine to listen to around young ears, but sometimes you might, depending on topics we cover, you never know. So,
Exactly.
but
Yep.
yeah. But we're really excited about this. We're glad that you listened. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe on whatever podcast app you're on right now. And please, on Apple Podcasts, if you give a 5-star rating there, that will help the podcast grow and let other people know about where this podcast is. The more 5-star ratings and reviews we get, mostly on Apple, the more visible it is to other listeners that they would be interested in it. So that's kind of how those metrics work. But Apple Podcasts is kind of the holy grail of ratings and things like that for podcasts and rankings, and whether they're visible to other listeners or not. So if you're wondering how people just happen upon different podcasts, it's usually due to those 5-star ratings. So please make sure to give a rate on your app, whatever app you're on. Apple Podcasts would be great. And then a review would be awesome as well. And then share the podcast. So if you
Yes.
haven't, and subscribe. So make sure to subscribe so that way when the new episodes drop, we will be able to keep you updated on where this new stuff goes. So we are really excited about this and kicking this off. And Cari, do you have any last words before we close today?
No, just like the podcast, share it with your friends, your family, with your, team parents, and send them over our way. And I think you guys are in for a fun time. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
great and really
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, we're really excited about this. So please be sure to share it with everybody that you know and submit your questions and your stories and different things because we would love to hear them and share them and cover those for you as well. So if you don't have anything more, Cari, we'll see you on the sidelines.
Probably with a coffee in hand for sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys and have
Bye,
a great
guys.
day.
Thank you.
Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at kickitwithkatie_podcast _ all the words. You can reach out to me with questions at kickitwithkatiepod@gmail.com. I also have a feature with SpeakPipe where you can leave me your own voicemail message if you want to be featured on the podcast. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.